Hey guys, welcome to the Dad Shoes Podcast, the dad group you don't have to go to.
Today we're talking about our kids' relationships with material things like toys.
So, what's on your mind, Connor? I can hear it in your voice. Something's on your mind.
There's Oreo that I found on my desk.
You found an Oreo on your desk?
I put it there.
Obviously. Well, I would hope. I guess your kid could have put it there.
It's not an old Oreo.
Is it?
But I put it on my desk when we sat down to podcast. It was going to be one of my pre-show snacks. And
No, it's a during show snack.
Yeah. Let me finish my Oreo. I put it here so that I could eat it before we recorded, but my desk is kind of in a dark corner of my house. I need a lamp over here, and I'm trying to find something a little more modern. You know, I don't want just a lamp, so I haven't found anything yet, so it's kind of dark over here, and the Oreos kind of blended in with my desk. Just saw it.
It is kind of a dark cookie.
Right before we started recording. I was really excited about it. That is a good surprise. Yeah.
You don't even need to find a lot of money in your pocket. Just like you find $1 in your pocket, it's like, oh, look, $1. You find a 5 in your pocket, it's like, hey, look at that, I got a 5. And then anything up from that is just, hey, look at that. Unless you find a C note in your pocket and you're like, whoa, how did I lose that?
There's only so many bills between a $5 bill and a $100 bill.
3. There's 3 bills.
All 3 of them. I'd be happy with a 50. That'd be nice.
A 50 would be like,
that
would be like
an L?
Almost like Christmas.
An L note?
An L note.
I'm assuming it's based on Roman numerals.
Yes.
C is 100 in Roman numerals.
C is, yeah.
Anyway, it's an exciting time of year. You know why?
It is an exciting time of year.
Because I have finally drafted the first of 2 fantasy football teams that I'll be drafting this year.
Fantastic. Hey, let me guess. You picked the best quarterback in the league.
I did.
Right?
I picked the best quarterback in the league.
Aaron Rodgers.
Matthew Stafford. I did pick Aaron Rodgers too. It's a 2 quarterback league. And so my 2 starters are Aaron Rodgers and Matthew Stafford. I don't know. Let me see.
You get to have 2 quarterbacks?
Yeah. Well, so, excuse me. We have what is called the offensive player position. And so it can be it's like a super flex. It can be any offensive player. But your best bet is to get another quarterback because they score the most points.
They do tend to score the most points.
I was able to snag Aaron Rodgers in the 5th round.
In the 5th round?
In the 5th round. Well, there's a lot of good quarterbacks this year for fantasy.
Yeah.
So he went behind. You know what's weird to say? The Bills are good.
Are they?
They are. And I know you are not as into football as I am these days. But the Bills are good. Let me update you.
For that. Yeah.
Look, we could talk about paying for football another time. Or today. Okay. I don't know. But that's a whole other problem.
It is a whole other problem. I mean, that's the reason that we have football, but it's a problem.
Let me update you. Yeah, the Bills are good. Matthew Stafford is no longer with the Lions.
Wow.
The Jets are still bad. That hasn't changed.
They almost got good like 5 years ago.
Yeah, you know who else isn't good?
They remembered who they were.
Yeah, the Patriots last year were not good.
No, I can't imagine why.
Who knows? We'll see. They're making a run for it this year. But yeah, it's fantasy football season, finally. I've got one other team to draft this Monday. But I got my first team. I got Aaron Rodgers. I got Matthew Stafford. And I got to say, I am bought on the Matthew Stafford hype. You know, he left the Lions really, really classy. I'm a Lions fan. I've been a Matt Stafford fan as long as I've been with the team.
He was going to retire, I thought.
Well, no, he didn't want to retire. But he did not want to play with the Lions anymore. But
again, I can't imagine why.
I can't imagine why. I mean, it's been a tough run, you know, because this guy was great in college. He was a winning person. When people thought of Matthew Stafford, they thought of a winner. And I will always think of a winner when I think of Matthew Stafford. He was my quarterback when I first started following the Lions, even though we never made it to the big game. But
nope.
He left on good terms. He did not burn any bridges, which was great. And he said, like, if he didn't want to be a part of another rebuild. You know, they got a new coach, they got a new GM, so he's like, hey, I've done this before here. Can I move on? And He has said that if they were like, nope, you're our guy, he would have stayed. He would have been happy to stay in Detroit.
Well, that's
but
good.
They worked out a trade so he can go to the Rams, and I'm bought in. I am so ready to see this guy light it up.
You know what? You know what? I've always I've always had this not so much a question really, because I don't actually care, but like a thought. It's like when you get those career guys like Dan Marino and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, right? That's where they play. Like that's where they are. They're going to be for that team for their career. So they're going to live there, right? They're going to have a house there.
Right.
So that's not really that surprising. But then you get guys like, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but they're with a different team every year.
Oh, you mean Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Ryan Fitzpatrick. Does he just buy a house everywhere he goes? Because, like, I have two thoughts. Like,
I don't
one
think
thought
so.
is...
But go ahead. I don't think he does, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, because, like, you see these these stories about these football players having mansions, right? And Miami's full of them. South Florida's full of them. But then you get... that's a lot of money to spend on a house, several $1 million for a house. And I get they make that. And as a real estate investment, I don't think it's actually very good because...
There's only so many people that can buy that house.
Exactly. And you're not going to be like, well, I've got this really great property. I built a beautiful house on it, but the property is great because, no, they're in a neighborhood. You're not going to sell it to Amazon to build a warehouse for $30 million, you know? It's a neighborhood. So how, it just doesn't make sense for someone like Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's at a different city every year, or almost every year, to buy a new house and then like hope somebody will come and buy the old one. So like, what do?
Yeah, some other football
Are they
player.
like,
I don't know.
I'm going to buy my house in I'm from California, so I'm going to buy my house in California. I'm not from California. I'm just,
yeah.
So they have their house in California and then they like crash with a teammate. I mean,
oh, that'd be dangerous. I think
oh,
it'd be like a frat house,
Yeah, it would.
So I'm not a professional football player. I don't know. I don't watch any, what a TMZ or anything like that. I think, though, most of them have a house, like, somewhere else. Like, wherever they're from. Like, they live somewhere in the off-season. That's, like, the house they own. I think a lot of times they just rent.
Really? Because, I mean, it's not too surprising that they would just rent. It's just, like, I wouldn't expect it.
I mean, financially, I think it makes a lot more sense for the exact reasons we've just talked about.
Maybe.
Unless they're going to buy something and like they know they're going to be there for a while. I mean, Matt Stafford was with the Lions for 11 years. He's been in Detroit for a long time.
Exactly.
He probably has multiple houses, in whatever cities he's in.
And like for me, I look at these houses and I think that's too much. That's too much. So, okay, fine. So I'll go buy a house and, that costs normal price, right? And maybe even a little bit above normal price, but like somewhere where I know somebody can come back in and buy it. And it's,
I don't know,
because that would make sense to me. And then you buy a bunch of houses like that. That's a decent real estate investment. And then you might have property that you can rent to people when you move.
Yeah.
But
and I don't know, as somebody who recently bought a house, is currently refinancing a house and, moved into a house. I don't know, with all that space, what would you put in all that?
Well, my mom said something great when we were looking for a house. You'll find a way to fill the space. And I don't think she's wrong, but I think there's a point of diminishing returns on that. Like at some point, you're just going to have empty rooms. Like my dad moved, and he moved from a house that had, him and my stepmom moved from a house that had, I think it was under 1,000 square feet. It was a tiny little place in Coconut Grove, Miami. They moved to another place that was almost twice the size. I think it was more than twice the size. And it made everything work because they're both artistic types. They had art hanging on the walls. And now it's like their house fits them. Before it was like you couldn't turn around almost. But now their furniture fits. They've got a little bit more space. But then like us, we have some room in our house. It's like, what are we going to put in this closet?
Yeah. I don't have that problem.
You do not have that problem.
I have a very small house. We're dying for storage.
I think you just have big furniture.
Yeah, that's also true. I don't need my desk doesn't need to be this big. And I gotta have a dad chair. I gotta have a recliner. And if I didn't,
gotta have one of those.
If I didn't have one, my living room would look normal. But
Listen, anyone out there listening, if you do not have a recliner, like a dad chair, this is dad's chair. Normally it's a recliner. I am partial to the lazy boy. You gotta have one. It's like this is where dad relaxes. I can come in and I can sit down. And the problem becomes when you want to do something like we're doing, you come in, you're done with everything, the kids are down, and you sit down in your dad chair.
Yep.
We can record tomorrow, right?
Yep. My computer chair is not as comfortable as my dad chair.
My computer chair is very comfortable for a couple of hours, but we don't do this for a couple of hours. But I tend to sit here that long.
The only problem I have, and I don't know, do you have this problem where your kids like to sit in your dad chair?
They do. They love to sit in my dad chair.
Like Titus, when he wakes up in the morning, it's the first place he goes. And I'm like, no.
I don't know if it's because I've trained them not to, but Charlotte May tends to sit on the couch first thing in the morning. She'll get up and she wants to watch a movie. Everything on TV is a movie, which whatever. and so she'll go and sit on the couch. And my wife and I've been trying to tell her since we moved into this house, we need a reclining sofa, like where you've got recliners in a row, so we can sit next to each other and
but
still
also
be comfortable.
Recline. Yeah,
also recline. Yeah, because right now one of us has to lay on the couch, which is I love our couch. It's great when it's like facing the TV, but if it's right now we have it like it's facing the wall next to the TV. Right?
Sure.
So,
yeah, it's set up like our house is.
Yeah, and it's fine. It's great because I tend to want to lay down or recline anyways. But then that's it. No one is sitting with me.
Yeah. Yeah, we have that problem. And if everyone is awake, like both kids and Marcy and I, and we want to like all sit, we only have a recliner and a couch.
Yep.
And there is not room for everybody to sit down.
You got to get another chair. Which frequently, I've actually found myself lately sitting in our kitchen table. Because our kitchen is like in line. We have like the kitchen, there's a little peninsula that comes out. We have a little dining nook, and that's really our dining room. And then it looks right onto the TV. So I'll come home and I'll end up just sitting there because it's comfortable. I'm not ready to recline yet, like to be done with the day. So I'll end up just sitting there and I'll do stuff and like find out what we're cooking for dinner. Or,
that does sound like a very dad thing to do.
It really does. In the morning, I'll have my coffee there sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to have my chair so I can sit down and watch football.
Yeah, man. I wish I could. I wish I had TV. Cable.
I know, man.
Sometimes. Only during football season. And I was thinking about this the other day because you and I were talking about paying for football. And we got really into football because we would go to church and we would leave church and we would go watch football. And we would go have lunch and watch all the games at the sports bar. And I had a great time.
Event.
I always loved doing that. But
yeah,
how much do you think we spent every Sunday?
I don't want to think about it.
And it would probably, you could turn that money into cable money just for football.
Yeah, I think I did sit down and do that calculation once. Like just trying to figure out, what am I spending my money on? Food? I could just get the channels. The problem I have is I just want Red Zone.
Right.
Like, really, I want to watch,
yeah.
Because I play fantasy football. I'm a little interested in all the games. All the games I have a player in. I want Red Zone. Why do I have to buy so many other channels before I can buy Red Zone?
And Red Zone's only with DirecTV, right?
Well, no, Red Zone is spreading out. It started, I think, on Comcast. Now, because Red Zone's the one where they show all the touchdowns. I think you might be thinking of NFL Sunday Ticket.
Sunday Pass, Sunday Ticket, yeah.
Yeah, which that one, I can't even get that anymore because I live in the wrong house.
Right, and that one you need to have DirecTV.
Yeah, now you have to DirecTV if you want to get that. I just want Red Zone. That's all I want. And I
Red
have to
Zone,
pay
I liked it, yeah.
At least $60 for other channels with any provider before I can spend $10 on Red Zone.
For Red Zone, right.
Which, come on.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
The internet.
See, the way I always viewed
you're losing money
here. We were able to sit down and we all went together. It was like every Sunday we go. It was kind of a thing. Occasionally we would do Monday and Thursday night, but Sunday was we go and we watch football. And then I don't know, it was kind of fun. We were together. We were doing it as a group. It wasn't just me.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
And I got to convince my kids to watch football. My kids do okay. As long as I tell them when to cheer, then they're happy. You know, like they'll see me react to the game and they'll react with me and they're okay with it. But there's some Sundays when my son's just like, no football. Like,
no kid.
Go to your room. Tablet time.
My kid actually told me that I was yelling at the game. You're just like cheering on the team, and she goes, "Daddy, no, don't yell."
I'm getting too excited.
All right. But that brings me to another topic. You and I were talking about relationships with material things, specifically toys. Why?
Why? Okay,
Yeah,
let me set the scene.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the story. I mean, I think we both experienced that our children become attached to their own things, their own toys. They don't always want to share. It's a child thing. You know, they think of themselves. So the other day, my mom bought my son this squirt gun.
Okay.
And there was a different gun toy gun that he wanted, but she bought this one because this one didn't make noise, which I kind of appreciate. But my son didn't forget that other toy, so every day he was like, you know, this is cool, but I really want the other one.
The one that makes noise.
The one that makes noise. Anyway, so we're heading out of the house, and he's got his squirt gun in his hands. And I just kind of notice, I hear him whisper to the toy. He says, "I love you." Mwah. And he kissed it. And I was like,
weird.
That's kind of weird, but it's also like, I don't know. I feel like it's normal.
You've seen him do it to
3-year-old.
other things.
I've never seen him do this before, like this.
Oh.
Like, just in his own world, looks at the toy, "I love you," and he gives it a kiss. Like, I'm not totally surprised. It seems like a thing that kids would do. I don't know if your kids have done it yet, but I'm not totally surprised my kids did it. But I was kind of like, I wonder if I need to come back to that, you know, and talk about it with my kid.
Yeah, I think I'd let that slide for now. Because I've seen, and our kids are a bit different, our oldest. So Charlotte May is really independent. She'll just do her own thing, which was great before we had Mabel, because she was kind of like a cat. She'd come over and hang out with you for a bit and then go off and do her own thing. And so she'd go sit in her room and play with her blocks the living room, but by herself in her area. And that was it. It was just, I'm going to do my own thing, playing with my blocks. They've got this whole imagination thing going on, and great, good for you, awesome, love seeing you use that imagination. And occasionally she'll do something like similar. I mean, she doesn't say, "Oh, I love you" to a toy, but like she'll say, like to one of her dolls, she'll say, "Oh, I love you," and you know, stuff like that. It's
like part of the imagination, though.
Exactly. And I mean, maybe he's doing the same thing where he's like,
this gun has
personifying this gun. The gun has a persona, but
it could be.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen her do that on a few things. So I mean, I haven't seen her do it on something that's not supposed to be, you know, animals and people's. But
so let me finish the rest of that story too. We were on my way to my mom's house. This is like 30 minutes later. Mom was across the street.
Right.
We're leaving my mom's house. He has left the toy. Completely forgotten it existed. It is just out of sight, out of mind. Does not live in this kid's world anymore.
Object permanence.
Yeah, it was weird. You know, he just kind of dropped it, and I was like, all right, well, I guess he's not kissing his toys anymore. But, you know, he kept
resolved
talking about
in 30 minutes.
Yeah. He kept talking about this other toy gun. It's a Buzz Lightyear blaster. We did end up buying it the next day. I didn't buy it that day. But kind of the deal I made with him is like, okay, well, I have some chores to do. You help me with these chores, and you can earn the toy. Right?
Oh, that was good.
I'm not just going to give it to you. Like, you're going to help me.
Yeah.
And I showed you that wonderful video of him. I think I showed it to you. I'll just send it to you if I didn't. We were putting his bed together, and he's got the wrench, and he's like really, he kind of knows what he's doing with it. I had to show him which end to use. But he puts it in. He starts tightening the bolt, and then somehow he slipped and he hit himself in the face with the wrench.
Oh,
it wasn't bad, but it was just kind of like,
no, you're sure.
Yeah. It was cute. It was cool because like he helped me put the bed together, and that's how he earned his toy. And I made sure, like all the way through, I'm like, hey, you know, why did we get this? You know, because I earned it. I was like, good. But yeah, and I just noticed lately, you know, this odd connection with material things, but also like this weird connection with guns.
Yeah,
and like guns and swords. Swords, I understand. Like, who doesn't love swords?
Huh.
You know? I don't know. That one I feel like makes more sense to me. But I'm wondering where he has been exposed to these guns. We don't really watch. We watch Disney Channel. We watch Disney Plus.
Right.
Not really a lot
and
of
he doesn't
guns
watch a
in
ton
any
of
those things.
Marvel movies, right?
No, we don't let him watch any of that. Or we don't, he doesn't want to watch any of that.
Right.
So there's not really a lot of option for him to see a gun, but it's like, he knows what it is. And so we get the Buzz Lightyear blaster, and I'm like, okay, we don't point this at people, point at other things. So on the way to the store, he's like shooting all the birds. He's shooting the sun. He's shooting all kinds of stuff. But it's kind of weird. Like, what has he been exposed to introduce him to this concept of gun and make it so fascinating to him?
It's funny because I was thinking about that a while ago. I mean, completely apropos of nothing. I mean, something must have brought it up, but it was like, I like guns. And do I like guns because they're loud and fun? And, what makes me like them? I've been shooting archery since I was 5. So I get that. I get bows, right? And before that, Robin Hood was huge in the 80s, right? So, well, at least it was for kids. I always loved Robin Hood. We had Ivanhoe, the movie Ivanhoe, with Robin Hood character and swords and stuff. And I always loved swords. I loved bows. And when I was older, I liked guns. I don't collect guns. I have guns, but not like an arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not like obsessed with them. And I never was obsessed with them. And maybe it's because there were a lot of cop shows on TV when I was growing up. And the only kids shows were PBS, right? It was Sesame Street, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's it. Because I remember watching, when I lived in Miami, we were watching this cowboy show. It was a show. It wasn't a movie because it was on every week. And I had a cowboy cap gun. And it was awesome. I loved it. It was like the show would be on. I'd probably annoy the heck out of my parents because I'd run around and shoot the guns. And like I was a cowboy, right? It was what was on TV. But if your kid's not watching that stuff...
No, I mean, he watches Disney Plus. I mean,
yeah,
Dino Rancher, Bluey, Toy Story, Pixar movies. None of them really have guns, and I think I don't have any guns. I'm not like opposed to guns. I just don't have any. There's other stuff I want to spend my money on.
Right, right.
Like if I have enough money for a gun, there's other things higher on the list I'm going to buy.
That's why I don't have any tattoos.
So I do think part of it is this like. The concept of something launching something else is fascinating.
Because I love launchers, right? Like I've built my own catapults before.
Catapults, like
slingshots.
Yeah, archery. Like it's just this concept of like, hey, you want to see this thing go flying?
My mom for Father's Day bought me these stomp rockets. It's so stupid. I love it. They're these 3 little foam rockets, and they got a little hose connected in a little tripod, and then a big plastic bladder that you stomp on and it launches the rocket up. I did model rockets when I was in elementary school with my dad. That was fun.
Yeah.
Send something launching,
Yeah, it's interesting. So
I don't
know. He's also like really into swords. Swords makes a little more sense. There's swords in Disney movies. He's actually told me, and we'll have to see, like my wife already bought him a Halloween costume.
Right.
She bought him this Spider-Man costume, which is awesome. Like we came home, he put it on, and he became Spider-Man, and it was so much fun to watch him.
That's
just
so
like
cool.
Crawl all over the house, and he's doing the hand signs and everything. But
that's cool.
We got it at Costco. Costco also had this pirate costume, which has a sword with it, and so he saw that. Yeah, it's like a little.
They never
sword.
come with the accessories.
Yeah, this one did. It's at Costco.
That's awesome.
Now, when he saw it, I don't know how he made the leap in his mind, but he was like, that's Raya. That pirate costume is Raya from Raya and the Last Dragon. So now
I didn't see the costume, but I could see why you would think like that. Like if you picture a pirate costume in your head, I could see how you could get to Raya.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, it made sense, but it also had a sword. So now he's like, I don't want to be Spider-Man for Halloween. I want to be Raya for Halloween because Raya has a cool sword.
Does Raya have a sword?
Yeah, dude. It was
I guess she does. Yeah.
Look, if there's any complaint that I have with Raya and the Last Dragon, it's that it needs more sword because that sword was cool.
I've seen it like 3 times. I don't remember.
It's like this whip sword.
Oh, that was cool. That was a cool sword.
Needs more sword. So he wants to be
That was
Raya
pretty
for
cool.
Halloween because Raya's got a cool sword. So they didn't have a Raya costume, so I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But
So if he wants to be Raya, maybe Raya's a boy in his mind.
Raya's got a sword. Who cares?
Yeah, Raya's got a sword. He's just a cool character. She's just a cool character. I want to be Raya for Halloween. I mean, that's totally fine. I don't understand the issue with it. What I do understand is when parents have when they're concerned about their child's the way they play, and like, well, he only wants to play with guns. And I mean, when I was a kid, we had Nerf guns, and when we had boy babysitters because they lived 3 houses down, and they come over and we build up forts and we'd have Nerf fights for hours, and it was great. It was so much fun. And I don't know, was it violent? I mean, it was a Nerf gun. It was like, oh, you're out now. I don't know. If it turned into a violent thing where like, okay, now we're hitting each other because I'm angry, that's a different thing. That we've crossed into a totally different topic. It's no longer about what you're playing with. It's about how you're playing with it.
Yeah. And I think this is where we want to be like a little careful, because we do live in a world where seemingly gun violence is everywhere. We do live in a world where like shootings have happened at schools, and we're not speaking
today.
Any kind of positive.
One today.
Yes, I saw that in NPR.
Yes.
Like, and those are,
I mean,
are
not
tragedies.
making light of that at all. That is
Yes.
completely.
I'm not afraid that my son is going to like, grow up to love guns. It's just like weird obsession with any object, and it just happened to be a toy at this point.
Yeah. I don't know. My girls have not gotten into swords. One is not yet 2, so there's time for that still. Not that I want them to, but like I actually meant to bring them down a couple weeks ago. I have a kendo sword and 2 wooden katanas.
Yeah.
And I thought, this would be so much fun. We'll play with these. It'll be a great time because
Titus would love that.
Dude, it's awesome. I tried to show Charlotte May how to use it, and she didn't quite get it. She just thought, like, all of a sudden I saw it click in her head. Oh, I can hit things with this.
Yeah.
And then so she started trying to hit me, and that was the goal of this play. But then I realized quickly that she doesn't. She's just realized that she has a stick she can hit things with.
Yeah. It's a whole new ball game.
I put it away again. Yeah. And I was cleaning out the garage or something, and I found them. I picked them up. I'm like, oh, that'd be fun.
I don't know. But sticks are always fun. Sticks are always a good time. And both my kids love sticks. And
dogs
I think
love sticks.
Riley, dogs love sticks. I think with Riley, it's a little bit because Titus likes sticks. So it's kind of like, oh, you've got one, so I've got one. So I was the other day. My kids are playing in the backyard. I'm in the kitchen and I'm like washing dishes or prepping dinner, whatever I'm doing. And I can see them in the backyard, and my wife is out there with them, and I'm wondering like, oh, what are they doing? What's going on? So I peek outside and I see both my kids have found a palm frond, and they're standing at like opposite sides of the backyard. And it's almost like they counted off. It's like 1, 2, 3, go. At the same time, they start charging at each other with these big palm fronds held high. And as they get close, they just like swing at each other as hard as they can. And I'm wondering, where is my wife during all this? But at the same time, they also ran too far. So like they weren't able to hit each other with the palm fronds because they were practically hugging, and they were kind of swinging them behind each other. But it was like they're having a showdown out there, like having the best time with these big like palm fronds.
I started saying it with my dogs when we take the dogs to the park. As long as tails are wagging and teeth aren't showing, we're having a good time. This is not angry. Once those tails stop wagging and the teeth come out, now it's time to break it up. As long as they're laughing, hey, have at it, kids. That's, I mean, maybe to a little lesser degree, but have at it.
Yeah, I mean, they were like light palm fronds.
They're palm fronds.
Royal palm things out in my backyard.
Look, if they can hold it, they're not going to do any damage.
And they're swinging it with one hand too.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not like
you get like a queen palm. It's heavy for me to pick up. You know, they're not picking that thing up. That'll do some damage. That'll crush your car. But no, a little like Rubellini palm frond. The biggest thing you have to worry about are spikes. Actually, don't play with Rubellinis. Those hurt.
In hindsight.
But the Eureka's.
Yeah,
You've got a bunch of Eureka's in your pot.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
There's some kind of palm. The one that won't
It's
die.
not Eureka, it's Eureka.
We chopped one down and we threw a big tarp over it.
Did it kill it?
No. This thing is resilient. It made a tropical environment for it to thrive.
You put it in a greenhouse.
I guess. Like it is not dying. It is very happy in our backyard.
Have you tried bleach?
No,
bleach kills more than just COVID.
But somebody told me to dump motor oil on it.
So I think that's how you like kill the stumps. They have house-sized structures. Those things are massive.
This thing's a giant ball of.
And you can't chainsaw it because in the middle it's just pulp and dirt. And I went through 5 chainsaw blades trying to cut one of those out. I mean, and it grew right back. A year later, it was just like it had been. So
it's like grass.
It really is. It's like grass.
All right.
But dadgum, man. So, on the topic of guns, what kind of content you been doing lately?
You know, I feel like I just thought of one. Right now, I'm playing with Google. What is this?
Pages.
Google Sheets.
Sheets, not Pages. Yeah.
Yeah. Some kids at my church made fun of me for paying for Microsoft Office.
Yeah.
So like Google Sheets does it for free better.
I'm going to disagree with that. And actually, if you listen to How to Money, there was a few months ago they did an episode on like paying for stuff like this, and because one of the guys just got a new computer and it's no longer compatible with his old Microsoft thing, and so now so they don't do it like you don't just buy the software anymore. Now you have a subscription.
Yeah, it's kind of obnoxious.
He's like, I don't want to do that, so I've been doing this instead. Well, the Google Sheets doesn't do the same thing that Excel does. I mean, it does it, but it's not as efficient, and 2, you can do more on Microsoft on Excel. And for my purposes, probably for your purposes, I'm not going to need that other stuff that it does. And it's been so long since I've had to do spreadsheets, like for work. I can still use it, and if I need to, I can pull out some Excel wizardry. But
yeah,
it's nothing that Google Sheets doesn't have. And I can store Google Sheets on my computer, and I can access it from anywhere.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I just have my stuff in a Dropbox, so I can access it from anywhere.
But
anywhere
you have to pay for
Dropbox. Well, I have the free 2 gig subscription, but I tell you, I max out that 2 gigs. It is so full.
Mine is full.
But I use spreadsheets a lot, actually. And this doesn't have to be in the podcast. I use spreadsheets a lot for work because it's just a way of organizing information.
Spreadsheets are great. They're wonderful.
Spreadsheets are great. And I have learned how to make like schedules like that will actually track your time, and calendars that will actually track the date.
Yep.
And I do all my money through Excel, like tracking my expenses and everything through Excel, because I can just add up everything, and it's pretty sweet. It does some cool stuff.
And a lot of that Sheets does as well, but I don't think you can track dates and stuff.
Yeah, well, and like I was doing with this one right here, I just grab this little corner and drag it, and it brings it everywhere. Like, copies the characteristics of that cell to other cells. So, like, if we did it over here,
I started listening to Late to the Party again, so. They went on that like Christmas break, and I never picked it back up. It was like the last 4 episodes that I didn't listen to.
I pretty much went until the last 2 episodes, and then I just like, you know what? I'm over it.
Well, I mean, the break I took, I got really into it again.
Yeah.
I was really digging the final battle, and I got a bone to pick with you guys. WB&E. Don Johnson is like a treasure in Miami. Doesn't have a New York accent. He's Don Johnson. He was in Miami Vice.
Isn't he the firefighter that's from New York in the show?
What?
Which character is Don Johnson in Late to the Party?
He's just a character. Like he's not. He's Ben Allen Roth's uncle or something.
Yeah. He's like a firefighter in New York.
Oh, he's a firefighter in New York.
I think so.
Oh, maybe. But he's Crockett from Miami Vice. He's when people say, "Oh, you look like you're from Miami in the '80s" with the bright shirt and the jacket with the sleeves too short. That was Miami Vice, man. You ever hear anybody say like call somebody Miami Vice?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who they're talking about. But it's like he's not from Miami or from New York. He's not from Miami either. But it's like he's not from New York. Come on. Anyways, since the moment they said Don Johnson, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be awesome. And it was like, that's not Don Johnson, dude.
I don't know. I can't help you there.
Yeah.
I might have to pick that one back up because I'm kind of in a podcast lull.
Yeah, I got that way too.
There's not really anything I want to listen to.
Even my like go-to podcasts, I was like, nah, I'm good. So
thanks for hanging out with us on the Dad Shoes Podcast, the dad group where you don't have to talk to anyone unless you want to. We would love to hear your thoughts on today's topic. Do your kids have any weird relationships with their material possessions? Are you as excited about fantasy football as I am? Do we need a Dad Shoes Fantasy Football League?
Ooh. Hopefully that could be way too big to manage. But at the moment, I think it'd be too small to manage.
Too big to manage. That would be, as my former boss used to say, a good problem to have.
Good problem to have.
Too many people. That's a good problem to have. Anyway, you can reach out to us at dadshoespod on Twitter and Instagram if you wish, or you can email us at dadshoespod@gmail.com.
Peace.